going? Come on. Why aren't you going? Come on. Live. Yes. Show me this one. Are we actually live? Is it working? Okay, come on, baby. Oh yeah. Hello. Okay, I think we are live and kicking. Let's check all the screens. Okay. I think we're ready. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Welcome to the BPM Lifestyle Summit. Fix your life for free. Because people are broke right now. People are suffering ridiculous amounts of pain. Billions of people have chronic illnesses and they can't work, and life is hard for a lot of people. And there's some things that you can do to improve the quality of your life that have zero cost, but most people don't do them. And it's quite sad to see people struggling so much when there's so many things they can improve without spending any money, without looking for the next magic pill, without blaming everybody else for their problems and not facing what they're actually doing to themselves. And we got a massive problem with people being really cruel to each other as well, for being different, for being a bit weird. And the whole lifestyle that we've built around societies is just not supportive of your biochemistry anymore. We've gone so far away from what our bodies were designed to be processing that chronic illness is so common now that I doubt there's many people watching this that haven't either dealt with it themselves or had a member of their family have a chronic illness. It's everywhere. But with the advances we have in technology and chemistry, you think by now that we should be able to make some progress in reducing the amount of suffering that we cause? But there's no profit in reducing suffering, unfortunately. And it's not good for business. It's much better for business to starve 10,000 children a day, to poison millions of people with substances that are not fit for human consumption, but they're very profitable. So they sell them to you anyway, because they want to make billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And that's crazy. Hey, hello, who's Nixon? Hi, welcome to the stream. Cool, we have 2 people. Oh, we got Wendy joining too. Nice. So we're not getting into today's topic just yet. We're waiting for a few more people to arrive, but we'll get into the juice of it later. And we're just going to have a little warm up and maybe tell a little story about how this, or why am I doing this summit? Like, this is my first summit I've ever done. There are only 2 people here right now, but my mission is to try to reach as many people as possible on this planet who need help and that don't have any money and can't afford to buy the next latest and greatest pill or treatment or therapy or whatever. If you're broke, what are you going to do? You can't do any of it because everybody wants your money. So that's why this summit is free, because people are really hard up right now and all over the world, and I can help them if they listen to me and understand what I say. So I'm offering this to you 100% for free because I want to help people that are not in the best place right now level up a little bit. Even if you only level up your life 5%, isn't that awesome? Get 5% improvement, you're 5% happier. Even 1% is an achievement. You don't have to go all the way to dream life tomorrow, but you can take the first step towards that dream life now. You can take the step today. You don't have to keep waiting to live your dream life. Just make the choice that you are going to live that dream life, and take the first step now. The first step is learning about your body. You are in an amazing biomechanical spacesuit, perfectly designed to live on planet Earth in balance with its environment. Your nervous system detects its environment and builds a biochemical fountain of all these different chemicals flooded from your brain when it detects a certain type of environment. And when the environment's changed, that biochemical cascade also changes. So your environment completely controls your biochemistry. And there's thoughts do the same. Your thoughts can control your biochemistry and your body. You can think a good thought and imagine an amazing thing that happened to you in the past and be filled with joy and excitement. And then you can also imagine something really bad and feel absolutely terrible, and maybe even make yourself cry with the memory of being something so traumatic. We have this ability in our brain to just switch our thoughts and change our biochemical state instantly. But most people don't consciously control that switch. They let their thoughts and emotions control them. They don't interrupt the flow and say, actually, no, this thought isn't true. I'm not a worthless piece of shit. I am a human being on a planet flying around the universe, and I'm going to do the best I can to live an amazing life on this rock. That's my mission. I want to live an amazing life. I want to do everything I can to make the world the best place possible for all life forms. Not just humans, but all life forms. Why can't we help all of them? It's so sad that in literally 1 week, we could completely transform the whole world if people decided to follow the BPM lifestyle. Because it's how all life forms exist. Every life form on Earth, or in the universe, if there are other life forms on other planets, they will also follow this same principle, because this is a law of nature. The BPM system is a law of nature. You have biochemistry interacting with an environment that's interacting with thoughts, in the case of us, but this is just the electromagnetic field that we are all in, this light field that we are existing in, is the mental realm. Any tips? I would start slowly. The BPM lifestyle is very complicated. I mean, it's absolutely huge. I've been building it for 40 years. So there's a lot of information in there. But you don't need to do everything right now. You just need to change one thing. So maybe you swap one food item that isn't a whole food for something that is, and just swap one thing at a time. I transitioned from my normal diet of fast food and rubbish every day to whole foods over a period of about 6 months. It wasn't an overnight thing, and it was much easier that way because I'm autistic and food sensitivities and stuff is complicated for me. So I would just do one small step, try to get used to that, and then I would try removing another piece of food that wasn't supportive of me. And then over time, I would kind of tracked how I felt with the new diet, and did it help? Did it not help? And over a period of 6 months or so, I gradually removed the things that weren't serving me, and I started to feel better. But it wasn't something that I did straight away. And with the barefoot walking, it's really, really hard. At the beginning, it hurts. If you're walking around the normal roads, you've got all the little stones and stuff, it can be a little bit painful. So first of all, just start somewhere that's nice and soft and flat, like just a grass in the garden or a park or something. And just stand there for 5 minutes. Just connect your body to the ground. That's all you need to do, because the electrons will come up through your feet into your body. If you can't be barefoot, you can just hold a tree and it will get the electrons into your body, which will help your mitochondria and all of your bodily functions optimize, because you are a bag of chemicals, and the chemical reactions are with electrons. The electron field of one molecule reacts with the electron field of another molecule. And if that electron field is disrupted by not having electrons from the ground, then those chemical reactions don't happen efficiently. So just literally 5 minutes in the morning, stand barefoot on some natural ground, and then when you go shopping, swap one food for a new food, and just do that gradually, and just don't overthink it. Just try to do one little new thing a week over time, and maybe over 6 months, a year, as you integrate these other practices into your daily routine, you'll notice shifts in the way you feel, because these are more like maintenance procedures for your. Imagine you're a car. If you don't give your car a maintenance check, it will eventually not work anymore, and then you have to go to the mechanic, and he fixes it for you, and then you get your car back, and you go to the doctor. You expect the doctor to fix your body, and then you come home again, back to normal life. But if you do a maintenance program where you're looking after your biochemistry, then the chances of future events causing you to be sick are reduced a little bit. I mean, you can't eliminate the risk of all disease, but you can reduce the chances of a disease developing by controlling your biochemistry. I don't know if that makes sense, but just take it easy. If you don't want to be outside barefoot, I understand a lot of people feel self-conscious about that. This one's not free, unfortunately, but you can buy a grounding mat. They sell them all over the internet. You just plug it into the wall, and as long as your house is grounded, then the mat will provide the electrons for you. It's not as good as being out in nature, because in nature you've got multiple stimulus from other things. You've got the visual field, the audio field. Everything is contributing to the feeling. But if you are uncomfortable doing that, then get a mat. They cost about $50. It's not cheap, but it's not woo-woo magic. It is real, and I'm not pushing this to try and sell you something you don't need. I have one. I recommend everyone have one. It's not going to cure anything. So a lot of them, they oversell the fact that these mats can cure all these stuff, and I don't believe quite as much as what they overstate the cures a little bit. It's not a cure for anything, but it helps your body's biochemistry balance a little bit better. So I would definitely buy one. If you can afford $50, then get one. And I sleep on it on my bed. I put it on my pillow. That grounds me when I'm asleep for 8 hours a day, and I wake up feeling better in the morning than when I don't use it. But you can also go out and just touch a tree. You don't have to be barefoot on the ground. You can touch a tree and still get the same electrons coming into your skin. It's just skin on nature contact is the best way to get it, but you can also substitute at home. Is that when the pushes barefoot shoes? Barefoot shoes are really cool. They actually do now have some barefoot shoes that have electric grounding pads in them as well. The normal barefoot shoes are just designed to a different shape, but there's a couple of brands, I'm not sure of the name, but they actually have metal contacts in the bottom, so you still get the electrical grounding as well. I'll see if I can find the brand, and maybe I can link it in the comment in the description later, because that'd be quite useful. Because if you really don't want to be barefoot outside, that's the best option you can get, is a pair of specifically grounding barefoot shoes. I'll look up something and maybe put it in the description later. Parks are good. Parks, beaches, forests. I live in the middle of nowhere here, so I just go into the forest sometimes. People, it's unfortunate, but people do make stupid comments sometimes. I get called homeless. Who is that homeless guy? Like, I'm not homeless. I'm just not wearing shoes. But it's so good for your health that I would rather take care of my health than be upset by the comments of someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So I have a thick skin after 40 years of being abused by everyone in public. I'm used to it now. Okay, so how many people we got? We got 4 people. Awesome. Cool, cool. So we're gonna get on and start today's little story because this month actually ties in with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month, which was a complete fluke. I didn't actually realize that the summit was at the same time. So I want to share a little bit about why I built BPM Lifestyle in the first place, because I've been building this my whole life. I started dreaming big when I was 6 years old. I wanted to be on TV and do magic. And when I was 15, I actually got on the BBC in England and did magic on TV, which was awesome. And then I was on multiple other TV shows. It was really cool to have a dream and build it. But when I was 10, things started to go the wrong way in my life because I had these weird symptoms in my body all the time. I never felt quite right. There's always something in my body that felt like it was wrong. I couldn't describe it because I was only a kid. Like all my joints, they were really floppy. They didn't have much strength. When people would hit me, it really, really hurt, and I'd bruise really badly and quite easily. And I just generally felt really weird all the time, and I had to keep moving and fidgeting in my seat just to be comfortable. I would walk weird. I couldn't balance properly. It took me ages to learn to ride a bike. And all these other weird symptoms. I fell off a slide and damaged my hip, and I couldn't walk properly for months. I had to go to osteopaths to try and fix me. But it wasn't until one day being bullied in the playground that I got kicked and developed a chronic pain problem that lasted for 25 years. And when you're 10 years old and no one can help you, it's not a very nice place to be. And I got to the point where I was extremely depressed. I was really overweight and drinking a bottle of vodka a week, which is not good for a teenager. It's not good for anyone, but not a teenager. And I ended up being a little bit of a chubby boy, which meant that I was then relentlessly bullied by every single person that walked past me. Everyone would make nasty comments to me. In the street, just random strangers. People at school were just a nightmare. And I couldn't play sports. My joints just didn't work. If I tried to do anything where I was having to hit something with a bat, hand-eye coordination, I could have never hit anything. My body, my mind just weren't aligned. And when I was running, the pain in my joints, my knees, my back, my lungs, everything was just really painful. And I was just useless at sport. And in England, that's it. You either play sport or not. You can't. You can't go to a gym when you're 10 years old. So the only option for exercise is play a sport. But I couldn't because it hurt so much. And then I developed this other pain condition, and it was just every day in pain. And living like that is a nightmare. Every single day you have to think about the pain that you're in and how to deal with it. And it's just there every single day. And it drives you a little bit crazy. So I basically, no doctors could help me at the time. So the only option I had was to study science. So I went to the library because that was the only, back in the 90s, you didn't have the internet to go and look things up. You had to go to the library and get a book and actually read it. So I started to teach myself science because I wanted to understand the human body well enough that I could heal myself and eventually help other people. So when I started to learn about first I started anatomy. I like to learn about the skeleton and the muscles, and then I started to learn a little bit about the chemistry of how the human body works, because I wanted to lose weight, and I knew that if I didn't do something pretty urgently, that I was not going to live much longer. I could barely walk at the time. It was just so painful, and then the constant death threats from school. The constant bullying was just too much for a 15-year-old. But I studied science and figured out that if I moved my body more and changed what I ate, I could try to lose some weight. but I couldn't play sports. It just didn't work for me. And I hated them. They were just not interesting to me to start with, and I couldn't play them because I was so clumsy and in pain all the time. So all I had was walking and a trampoline, and that's what built the third pillar of the BPM lifestyle, which is movement. I needed to get as much movement as possible, but without causing further injury to my joints that never worked. So the best thing I found was gently walking, not sprinting, not running, not doing anything with impact, but just slowly walking. And I started to walk to school. I walked to school, had my day at school, walked home, and then at home I'd bounce on a trampoline, just a little mini trampoline in my bedroom. And I'd bounce just gently, 40 minutes on there, and it enabled me to stimulate my body a little bit better. Because it activates the lymph system in your body, so that it's your waste disposal system. So it helps clean out your body a little bit quicker. So the bouncing helped, and then the walking helped, and I basically lost 35 kilos eventually from doing that. And then I was able to join a gym because I turned 16, and 16 was the minimum age to go into the gym. And as soon as I was able to do weightlifting, everything started to improve in my joints. Because before, I was just like a floppy bag of spaghetti. It was horrible. I couldn't move my body properly. So when I joined the gym, I finally had a way of doing resistance training, and I actually enjoyed it as well. And I finally found something that made my body feel stronger. And I went to the gym every single day for years and years and years. As long as I didn't get injured, I managed to hold my joints together most of the time. It was still a bit weird, because sometimes if I reach for something and I haven't properly braced my shoulder in the right position before I move, then sometimes my shoulder might pop out a little bit, and I get this sharp stabbing pain, so I have to pull them back into position. But most of the time I'm conscious now of what movements I'm making, and so that I can prepare the correct muscles before I move, so the joint doesn't pop out of position. But if I don't train, then my muscles waste away really quickly, and I can't they start to pop and click more, and I don't have very much strength again. So I have to train them very carefully every day. But when I was following fitness programs from your typical fitness instructor, they would give me advice that was dangerous for EDS. Because EDS is a collagen condition, which means that the fibers that hold your body together are more elastic, and they can be more fragile and break easier. So it's okay doing lightweight weights. If I'm then doing something really, really heavy and I tear a muscle or something, then it's absolute agony, and it takes a lot of time to heal it. If I damage the tendons in my hands and feet, it takes me years to repair, especially in my spine. I had a car crash and damaged the vertebrae in my neck. That took years to fix. And that's what caused me to be homeless the second time, because I couldn't work. And so as long as I don't get hit by a bus, I'm usually okay. But if I don't integrate movement into my daily practice with resistance training and a proper form, and considering my mind-body connection, because I think if I was a kid now, I would have been diagnosed as dyspraxic when I was a kid, because I just fell over all the time. It was a nightmare. I was having accidents all the time, and it wasn't very fun. So, we now would call that dyspraxia, but it wasn't labeled back then. So I've got all these issues that are slightly improved if I integrate movement in my daily life, and when I stop doing it, the pain comes back quite quickly. So one of the things that I recommend that people do, to whatever their ability is to move as much as possible during the day. Because we live quite sedentary lifestyles now. And what happens is when you're sitting still all the time, you're shutting off your nervous system from interacting with the world. You're shutting off your blood supply. You're not activating your lymph system to clean your body. You're not stimulating your blood flow in your heart to actually do anything. And you're relying purely on your brain to focus on what you're looking at, to give you the ability to, to work on a computer, for example. If you're sitting at a desk, or you're a child at school, you're sitting watching the teacher all day. We're sitting too much, especially children. Children need to be running around more. But because we're not allowed to move when you're at school, it was always sit down and shut up, don't talk, don't move, don't fidget, don't look out the window, don't do that, don't do whatever. And you need to move. I can't sit still for hours and not stimulate my body in some way, because I start to get itchy and my muscles start twitching. I have to fidget, my leg starts bouncing. I don't know how people can just sit like frozen statues all day, not doing anything, just focusing on what they're looking at, learning it. No way, I have to move. I need to make my body release neurotransmitters, because every time you move your body, dopamine is released in your brain. And we have a lot of trouble focusing these days because we're not using our body. We're relying on our brain to focus on something without a consistent supply of changing stimulation causing dopamine to be released. And that's why I built this studio the way it is. My room reacts to me, so I can control my environment directly with my mind. It's so cool. But we need to get as much movement into our day as we can while we're engaged in something that requires focus, like learning at school or working in an office on a computer or something like that. If you're sitting all day, you're not stimulating yourself. And I suggest that if it's possible at your work to do this, then at least every 15, 20 or 30 minutes, stand up and just shake your body a little bit. Do a few little bounces on the spot. Just move your arms up and down as much as you can within your range of motion that's safe for you. And just contract as many muscles as possible, because every intentional contraction of a muscle burns energy and releases dopamine. So you get more dopamine in your system every movement you make, especially if you're trying to learn, because learning is a very dopaminergic process. You need dopamine in order for your brain to register the new thing, because dopamine is released with novelty. If you experience something new, then your brain releases dopamine. So when you move while you're experiencing something new, you get double dopamine, and your memory can improve for that particular activity, or your accuracy can improve if you're doing a test. The fact that we're expected to do 3-hour tests not moving at anything other than a pen is ridiculous, because you also need dopamine for all the thinking processes as well, and you're trying to control your pen and process the answer for the question without moving your body. It's crazy. So as much as you can, you need to integrate movement into your daily activities. It's not just something that you can just go to the gym. I've done an hour of exercise today, there's my movement. That's not how your body's designed to work. You need to make it more regularly throughout the day, and in at least 20-30 minute intervals, just to stimulate your nervous system to release more neurotransmitters for you to actually function. Otherwise, your brain kind of shuts down a little bit and you go into la la land, and you're in with all your thoughts and imagination, and you're not in physical reality anymore. People drift off into their little dream worlds. Their imagination. We have daydreaming, especially if you have ADHD. You quite often drift off into your thoughts, and you're forgetting that you're even in physical reality. Sometimes you dissociate so much from your actual position, especially if it's something boring. If you're a child at school, like I was, bored to death, then of course I'm zoning out from your boring lesson. So I'd be away with the fairies in my head, and they're like, "You paying attention?" "Not really, no." "Your lesson is boring." So if we have teachers, allow the children to stand up occasionally and just jump, and maybe even scream and shout a little bit, because every time you speak, every time you vibrate your larynx, you release more dopamine, you stimulate your vagus nerve. All these biochemical reactions happen when you move. And it's amazing because when you move, you also trigger brain plasticity. BDNF is a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's a complicated name for a chemical that's released when you move. And this helps to reduce the chance of developing cognitive decline as you get older. The older you get, the more the neural pathways in your brain start to die off, because if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use your muscles, you lose it. So the more you can integrate a form of training in your daily activities, plus getting some kind of regular movement throughout the day, even if it's 10 squats. So you're at your desk, you're working, every hour, get up, do 10 squats, go back to the desk. It's not something that it has to take a lot of time. It's just something to stimulate your body to move. And when you do that, activates a whole chemical cascade of all the things you need to help you focus and learn. You'll need much less coffee and tea if you integrate practices that release dopamine. And movement is the key to releasing as much dopamine as possible. So if you have kids at school, make sure that their teachers listen to this video and understand that they can't be just standing up there boring and expect the kids to learn it if they don't let the kids move. So if you're a teacher, or if you have kids that are at school, share this message with them that they need to know. Okay. Alrighty, so movement, absolutely critical to your long-term health, mentally, physically, biochemically. If you have movement problems, if you have a disability of some kind, and movement is difficult, then you need to figure out a way that you can move as much as you can. If you're in a wheelchair and your legs don't move, then obviously you can't go for a walk and stuff like that. You know, you need to adapt the concept to your particular circumstances. So if you are paralyzed from the waist down, but you still have arms, you can still do arm exercises. There's some absolutely hinged bodybuilders that are in wheelchairs. They're unstoppable. So whatever you have the function to control, you need to train it. Even if you're bedridden, you need to actively think about the mind-muscle connection to every muscle in your body. So even if you're in bed, you don't need to actually move them, but just try to isolate the particular muscle that would cause that movement, and just train the thought pattern of moving them. Otherwise, if you don't train it, you'll never get out of bed again. You have to work on that mind-muscle connection. It's really important, especially when you're bedbound. Because when I was bedbound after my car crash, I couldn't move. My neck was in a brace, which is basically like that, for a week in hospital and then 3 months at home. It was terrible, but I could still contract the muscles in my legs and back and arms and just try to maintain some kind of control. So then when I was back on my feet again, walking around, I hadn't lost as much of the control that I had. Because when you break your arm, for example, it's in a plaster cast for 6 weeks, and they take the plaster off. It's very, very weak because the muscles have atrophied. They fade away if you don't use them, and that's going to happen with every muscle in your body that you're not working is going to atrophy over time. So it's really important, especially if you have a connective tissue disorder, like me, like EDS, that you try to maintain the structures of your body the best that you can with the situation you're in. I mean, it's a spectrum. Some people are far, far worse off than others. Other people have very mild symptoms. Other people are in a wheelchair. So depending where you are on that, spectrum of abilities, then you need to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to the level that isn't going to exhaust you and put you into a flare or anything like that. But you still need to try and move as much as you can. Otherwise, the muscles are going to fade away even more, and you will regress quicker than if you have a training program. And it's recommended to, if you have the money to do that, to go and see a professional physiotherapist. But not everyone has the money to do that. If you don't have the money to do that, there are lots of online creators that make videos specifically for people with EDS. But that goes on to our next topic, which is mobility. Because in EDS, people are hypermobile, which means that the joints in their body, they bend in different ways to normal people. Normal people, the thumb looks like that. In a hypermobile person, it can look like that. It changes depending on which type of EDS someone has, or there's also hypermobility spectrum disorders, which is a little bit different to EDS, but they still kind of have the similar symptoms. But when your connective tissues don't hold together properly, it means your range of motion becomes exaggerated. You can move your joints further than they're supposed to go naturally. So when you're training in your life, you must have some kind of a program where you're working on maintaining stable mobility. And what I mean by stable mobility is when you're doing a movement, like if I put my arm out to the side, if I want to pull it back with my muscles, there's a certain distance that I can get to actively. But if someone was to apply pressure and push my arm, it would go back further. But I don't want to do that. I want to train within my control limit. So this is as far back as I can go with muscle control. So when I'm doing exercises, I work on these ranges of motion for the strength at the end points of where I can naturally move to. I do also some static stretching, but generally not much. I prefer to do mobility training because my muscles are basically what's holding my skeleton together. It's like my joints are stuck together with rubber bands, and they're a bit wobbly. So my tendons and my muscles, they tighten up in order for me to keep the joint more stable. But this causes the muscles to be quite tight. So sometimes I get really tight muscles in my hamstrings, in my lower back, and especially in my shoulders, in my trapezius, between my shoulder blades. So these muscles, I have a mobility routine, I have a flexibility routine, and I have a movement routine, and I also have a massage routine. I use a massage gun because it's easier to reach the hard to reach places on my back. They're very cheap. They're only about £20-30 for a basic one. You don't need anything fancy, and it just helps to reach the parts of your back that you can't get to if you're not very flexible. You can also use things like foam rollers for your back, and you can use a tennis ball in a sock. You can just put a tennis ball in a sock, put it behind your back, and sort of roll against the wall. Especially if you get knots between your shoulder blades, it can really help to just apply a little bit of pressure onto that knot. But maintaining your mobility as you get older is absolutely critical, because you have to live. And if you can't move, what do you do? If you have people that you can rely on to help you, then great. If you don't have anyone, then you need to maintain your mobility as long as possible. I live alone here in the Czech Republic in the middle of nowhere. As far as I can see, it's just trees and forest and fields and animals. There's nothing here. And if anything happens to me, I'm screwed, basically. I don't know anyone that will come cook for me or do anything for me. So I need to maintain my mobility. It's absolutely essential for my life to continue, is to maintain my mobility. So I train every day in some way or another to maintain the stability of my joints, because my joints are so wobbly and I fall over all the time. I need to train balance and mobility at the same time. That's one of the reasons why I train barefoot, because I can feel the ground and it makes me more stable. It also stimulates dopamine in my brain because the changing sensation on the skin of my feet around my house, every time I change texture, my brain registers a new experience. So every time I go from lino to carpet to fake grass to laminate floor, every switch gives a new sensation in the brain, a little bit more dopamine. So by integrating all of these things together, I'm able to control my biochemistry in an easy way. It doesn't require you to understand the actual biochemistry that's happening. They're just behaviors that you can integrate that will help maintain it. So that's what the whole BPM lifestyle is about: learning a specific tool, a behavior, something that you can do to support your natural biochemistry and give your body a chance to be in its optimum state. That's what all of the 21 principles do. At the moment, we're going to be focusing just on the first 6 principles, which we've covered in this summit so far. If you missed day 1, that was about being barefoot and doing some breath work. Day 2 was about plant medicine and plant-based diet. And now today is about movement and mobility. So these are the 6 modules that are in the free course, which you can get if you go to the link down here for BPM Lifestyle Summit. The link will make you join a course where the replays of this event are going to be. And there's also a link in there to get free access to the complete course for 3 months, where you can learn all the details about why I suggest these practices. Why walk barefoot? Why do breath work? Why do plant medicine? Why I can't even talk on social media about plant medicine because I'll get banned. But it gives you the why. It gives you the what to do. It gives you the how to do it and how to structure it and how to change these few things. Just go slowly at your pace. Integrate a new habit at whatever rate of change is comfortable for you. You know, you don't want to try and change 10 things at once and get overwhelmed and confused. You just want to pick one thing, focus on that, say, right, okay, I'm just going to do 5 minutes barefoot in the garden in the morning just before I get ready for the day. And maybe have if you have a tea or coffee in the morning, have that while you're outside and just do a little bit of conscious breathing just to energize your body, get you ready for the day, just in 5 minutes. If you haven't got a garden, then you could do this in a park. But if you want to do it at home, I said you can get the grounding mat, stand on the grounding mat, do the breathwork practice on the grounding mat, and you will feel better. I guarantee that if you do it, you have to do it every day consistently for a long time, but eventually you'll start to notice it changing your biochemistry. But it's not an instant thing. You're not going to overnight change your life. It's a step-by-step process. And eventually, maybe if you work really hard at it, you can get to the point where you're integrated all 21 principles, which is hard. I'm not going to pretend that this is an easy lifestyle to do. You have to really be aware of all the minutes of your day. What are you doing with those minutes? Are you doing things that support you, or are you doing things that hurt you? And quite a lot of people seem to have behaviors that are not supportive, maybe not directly dangerous, but they're not supportive of their future self that they would be proud of. And it's about recognizing those behaviors and thinking, okay, maybe this isn't supporting me, and maybe I should work on changing this thing. But changing something about your behavior is difficult, especially if that's been a part of your life for decades in some cases. I'm 45, so I've had some bad habits that I've carried through my entire life, and even now, I'm not claiming to be perfect and that I have all the answers or anything. I just have 45 years of experience of learning biochemistry and how to manipulate my body to do that. And by making some small changes, I had absolutely dramatic changes in my health. Chronic pain after 25 years was gone. I couldn't believe it. It felt like a dream. Because when it's been there every day for that long, you don't have any hope that it's ever going to go away. Like, it didn't matter what painkillers I took, what surgeries I had, whatever I did, it didn't help. But then, after 6 months of consciously thinking about following the principles that are in the BPM lifestyle, the pain was gone. And if it worked for me, then why can't it work for someone else? I'm just a human being. We all have the same basic biochemical structure. We have slight variations in our chemistry. We have different appearances, and we have different genes, especially if you've got something like EDS, which is a collagen mutation. In different types of collagen, there's different types of EDS. But even if you've got a genetic condition that's incurable, that doesn't mean that you can't improve the quality of your life. And if anyone takes anything away from any of the videos that I have, is don't give up looking for a way out. If you're in a place now that's not fun, that you're in suffering, in pain, then the medical monopoly don't always have an answer. And they've got a lot of things to think about, to try and heal people, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing that you can do. There are many, many things that are available to you that don't have any cost, that can help improve your quality of life, even if you have an incurable disease. Even if you're 6 months away from the end with cancer, you can still apply the principles as much as you can to the best of your ability with what you have. And if you do that consistently, the best you can, in one of the modules we'll talk about planning, of how to actually make the decisions in a sequential order to get you where you want to be. Because if you have a big dream, what's the next step towards that big dream? It's a complicated question, and a lot of people don't know how to answer those questions. So that's what the whole concept of BPM is about. It's about how to align your biochemistry with what you want and live your dream life as best you can. And everyone's going to have a different way of interpreting that. Everyone has their own dreams. Everyone has their own likes and desires. They have their own ways of being and loving and caring for others. And you need to support that. Whatever that feeling is that's flowing through you, I want to help as many people as possible to improve the quality of their life. That's what this channel is for. And if I can help one person, awesome. If I can help 100 million people, wow. But I just want you to have a better life than you're having right now. And if there's something that you're not happy about, there is a potential that you can change it if you don't give up looking for a way out. If you give up, if I'd have given up looking for a way out of my pain at 20 years instead of going for the full 25 and finding a way eventually, then I'd still be in pain now. But I managed to find a way out, and I drew a map of everywhere I went. What worked, what didn't. Did this cost money? Was it free? If it cost money, was it worth it? The amount of benefit I got, was it for the lifetime of the product? Would I buy it again? And in a lot of cases, yes, especially with the grounding mat and massage gun, absolutely. I will never be without one. If it breaks, I'll buy another one. There's a few things that I will recommend in the course that can help you along the journey with some supplementation, some products, but the baseline principles are all free of charge. You don't have to pay to breathe. You don't have to pay to be barefoot in nature. You don't have to pay to walk somewhere. You don't have to pay to move your body. It's all of it is free, basically, the whole system. So to charge someone money for it, it feels bad for me, so I'm giving it away for free right now. But that's only a temporary offer. If you don't join today or tomorrow, then the free course access won't be there anymore, because I've got bills to pay, and we've all got bills to pay. So the actual main course is only $99 anyway for lifetime access to my brain, and I will download as much as possible into it to change as many lives as I can. But if nobody knows I exist, then I can't help anyone. So if you're still here and you're watching this and you've had any like tiny bit of inspiration that you can't give up on your dreams and you've got to actually look after your body a little bit better than you do, then it would be amazing to hear some stories in the future of people that watch this video and it's like, you know, I'm going to go and do something about it. I'm going to find this part of my behavior that's not supporting me, and I'm going to try to change it slowly over time at a pace that's good for me, and make better decisions for my future and the future of the people that are in my life. You know, I don't have any humans directly in my life here. I have a dog, but a dog also follows the BPM lifestyle. They do all the same things. He does massage, he does mobility training, he does movement training, he eats plants, he does breath work, he's always sighing, and he's always barefoot. So this applies to animals, it applies to people, it applies to the planet in general. The BPM system applies to planet Earth as well. So is there anybody who got any questions about the things that we've talked about today? Or have you got anything that you're going to decide to do this week to improve your overall quality of life? We've got so many ways that we can help ourselves and each other to live better without spending any money. A lot of people think being healthy is expensive, but at the end of the day, if you're not doing the things that are free, then the things that you're paying for are going to have less effect. If you fix what you can for nothing, you may not need to buy the product. So I have a theory, a maths calculation that I did, that if everybody followed the BPM lifestyle, just everything that's completely free, not pay for anything, we could massively reduce the suffering of at least 30 million people a year would not die. Imagine that 30 million people don't die this year because they actually took action and made something, something better in their life. If they're struggling right now, then a little bit of hope might be what they need, because there's a lot of pain in the world, and most of it's unnecessary. Most of the pain in the world is not because of natural disasters. It's not because of parasites and bacterial infections. It's because of what humans do to each other and ourselves. And one day we're going to have to wake up to what we're doing to our own body. If it's not serving you in your long-term health, you've got one body. You've got one chance at life in this body that you have right now. And I want to try to maintain it for as long as I can, to the best of my ability, within my budget of what I can do to survive. But when I was homeless, I managed to do this. So if I can do it at homeless, then maybe anyone else hasn't got any excuse. If they've got a home, if they've got functioning arms and legs, then they can do everything easily. If they have other mobility problems, if we're in a wheelchair, then you're going to have to modify some of the principles to fit your needs. But it's not impossible to change your life, whatever situation you're in. A lot of people don't have hope because they don't know how. They haven't got a map. They haven't got keys. They haven't got a guide. So now I'm here, okay? If people want to have inspiration, I started this journey when I was 6. I wanted to build my dreams. And I did. And I did it multiple times throughout my whole life. I had a dream and I built it. I had another dream and I built it. I had another dream and I built it. New dream. Save the lives of 100,000 people a day. Because that's what's possible if we actually decide to make it possible. With no money. It doesn't cost any money to save 100,000 people a day. Just imagine how much better the world would be if 100,000 families didn't lose their parents or their children. If we weren't letting thousands of people die every day from starvation when we grow more than enough food. Maybe we can stop bombing other countries and hating each other for the thoughts in our heads. We change our attitude to the other and not be scared of the other, but collaborate with the other. We're such a competitive species. We've always got to fight each other for everything, but that only leads to destruction. But if you collaborate, if you build together, you build a movement, you change the world. With one small voice, it all begins, and then there are millions more. Is my favorite line from a Tina Turner song, Dancing in My Dreams. Because I was always dancing in my dreams, because I couldn't move my body properly as a kid, but I liked to dance. Dancing was freedom to me. And I would just dance and dance and dance and dance in my dreams. And when I heard that song, it resonated with me so hard, because if you never listened to it, Dancing in My Dreams by Tina Turner, the lyrics describe my whole life. So with one small voice, it all begins, and there are millions more. Let's start the BPM movement and tell people that there is hope, that they can change their lives even if they've got nothing right now. But they need to know the next step. And I wrote the map. It's kind of like a blueprint of how to live on Earth in a happy and harmonious way with nature. Because at the moment we don't respect nature, do we? To be honest. The way people treat nature is absolutely disgusting, and we're not going to live on this planet for much longer if we wipe out everything in our path. So unfortunately, I don't have much faith in people, but I want people to prove me wrong. We can improve the quality of life for everyone, but we have to choose to do so. And that starts with you. Are you going to choose to look after yourself better? And are you going to choose to help raise other people up when they need help as well? Because we keep pushing each other down instead of lifting each other up, and it's not a good way to live with 8 billion of us. We've got to figure out a way that we can coexist without trying to kill each other because of a different coloured skin or a different belief system. It's mad. It's mad. So there's the first 6 principles of the BPM lifestyle. Go barefoot in nature, integrate conscious breathing, use plant medicines where appropriate, eat a plant-based diet as much as you can to the best of your budget and ability. Just eat as many whole cells as you can. Integrate as much movement as possible into your daily routine, and make sure that you're doing something to maintain your mobility as you get older, because you're going to start to develop stiffer joints, arthritis, all other things if you don't take care of your joints. So you've got to think about those. But I was tease the next part. The Summit version 2, which will come later this year, will include some of the other modules. Some of them are balance is the most critical part of the universe. If you don't understand balance, you'll always be pushing yourself beyond the limits of what your body can do. So if you learn a bit more about balance, you can improve your life. Gratitude is an extremely important process. So counting your blessings every day and being grateful for what you have means you're opening the world up to what is new. If you're ungrateful for everything you currently have, why get more? What's the point? So having a gratitude practice, it changes your mental state. It makes your body react in a better way to lift your mood. So I recommend doing a gratitude practice every day. Combine it with breath work, combine it with walking barefoot in nature, so you're stacking them on top of each other. Integrate play and passion into your life. Why not do something just for the fun of it? Do some art, or make some music, or dance, or play a sport, or play video games, or whatever entertains you, whatever you love to do. Just do it. Integrate it into your life. Make sure you put time aside for just having pointless fun. Just for the sake of it, with no ulterior motive. No, I'm doing this because I want to get good at it so I can become a famous footballer or whatever. You're just doing something because you love it. But also do something that you're absolutely passionate about, that you would do every day of your life, no matter whether you were paid or not. This is my passion, is making videos and helping people. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I will always do it as long as I am alive. I will keep doing this, and I will keep sharing my stories and my inspiration to help as many people as I can. But the more people that can share their story and what they've overcome and the lessons they've learned that they can share with someone that's in a different state to me. I don't know anything about bringing up a child, but maybe you've got some experience with that that you could share with someone through a program of some kind, where maybe you start a single mums group or something where you're able to use whatever experience that you have to help other people that might be struggling with that particular skill. I don't know anything about children. I mean, it would absolutely be useless if there was a child in my room. I'd be like, oh no, what is that? So I'm no good at giving people advice on childcare, but I do know biochemistry, and I do know how to optimize your life and build your dreams. So if you want to learn how to do that and how to be as the best version of you in all aspects, in your mental aspects, in your physical aspects, and in your environmental aspects, you have to learn just a few basic tools, integrate those tools, and slowly, step by step, you can build your dreams. But sometimes it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years. To build this room I have now, this studio, it was in my head 20 years ago. I never thought I'd actually build it, especially after being homeless as well. But I live in it now. It's real. I turned my thoughts into physical reality. And I've been doing that since I was 6. I started magic when I was a 6-year-old. My parents bought me Paul Daniels' magic set. I taught myself some little tricks. And eventually I'm doing magic on the BBC in England. If you've got a dream, make it. Do it. Live it. Why not? What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do with your life other than chase your dreams? A lot of people spend their time reacting to the world. They're always managing everybody else, but they're not doing what they want to do. And it's sad to see people not doing the things that they love. If you're able to, it doesn't mean don't work. It means the work that you do is meaningful to you. Now, if you're looking after a child, then that is an extremely rewarding experience, watching them grow and become who they're supposed to be. It's an amazing gift to be able to help someone go through life and grow up and become whoever they're destined to be, without judgment and without control and without telling them who they're supposed to be. Let them become what they need to be for their soul, for your soul. What do you want to be? So tell me in the comments if you've got any dreams that you want to live. So we're going to finish now for today's lesson. So if anyone has any questions, last chance, and then we're going to sign off. Thank you for attending the BPM Lifestyle Summit. This was the first one of hopefully hundreds, where they will grow each time, and I will get more and more people to change their lives and change the lives of everyone else in their world. And if we all help each other, what an amazing world we could build. So thank you for watching. I will see you guys again in the next video. We're going to do some more this month for EDS awareness. So I'm probably going to do some video tomorrow about that. So good night for now. I will see you guys some other time. Bye.